are now listening to a Forward Mile Podcast Network production.
All right, and welcome into the next edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. We are sitting here in studio again on this Sunday night, and a lot of things have happened in this complete week after Super Bowl 52. We won't dive into too much football today, but we do have a couple of takes to kind of get off our chest. But in studio is a full crew. We've got Tony on mic 1.
Yo, what's up?
And Spike on mic 2.
I am still so happy that Josh McDaniels fucked over the Colts.
Your host Aaron on mic 3. The three of us make up the Vegas Squares. We appreciate you tuning in. You can catch us every week on the Forward Mile Podcast Network at forwardmile.com. Also, you can catch us on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. Check them out over at 12ozsportsradio.com. Token Tony, how have your bets been going on Twitter?
1-1 right now, so
1-1. Big,
yeah. Well,
big pusher.
The one I lost cost me a 5-team parlay too, so that was kind of a kick in the nuts. A nice 5-team parlay that had the Sabres yesterday on it. So
yeah, the Sabres with the big. What were they plus in that game? Because they were like plus 240, 250,
270. I got it. I saw as high as 280.
Yeah, the Bruins the other day. I guess it was yesterday, right? They were the highest favorite I've seen in a while since I believe Tampa played Buffalo a couple years ago. They were like a -4 favorite.
Jeez.
Minus 400 and change. And they lost that game too.
Wow.
So that was about Buffalo getting a huge underdog piece.
Yeah.
Khudobin was in net, Spike, for that one, so may that have had something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, we had a long string, especially last year or 2 years ago, where any Bruins goalie not named Tuukka Rask was utter dog shit. I think it took until about a month after the All-Star break before any of their backups started winning. So, not overly surprising that Khudobin could screw up a game like that.
Well, speaking of, we just got off the Vegas-Philly game here, and it wasn't a pretty one for Vegas. But what I've noticed the last two games we've been to, Islanders and the Flyers, the last two games for Vegas at home, they've just kind of run into a hot goaltender. They haven't played poorly, in my opinion. They just kind of run into a guy that's just not letting anything through. Yeah,
and tonight's game against Philadelphia was Neuwirth, yeah. Zoidberg in net, and it was just...
Zordtron.
Why not Zoidberg? You need a goalie? Why not Zoidberg? Where the fuck was I going with this? Oh, yeah, so he gave up the one to McNabb pretty early. That was a nice shot, nice placement. Hard for him to make a read on that, especially if he got screened at all. But then, he shut him down. The Knights had, chance after chance, shot after shot, and just nothing was getting past him tonight.
What'd you make a Philly fan in the stadium?
I think they forgot that they were watching a Flyers game and not an Eagles game, because I constantly heard either "Fly, Eagles, Fly" or the fans chanting the merits of the Philadelphia public school system, that they can actually spell Eagles all at once. Which was,
yeah, I heard that a few times.
Well, that was nice of them to show us that. The problem was I wanted to give them so much shit, like either shit talk or after the game remind them not to burn any buildings down or not to climb up any lampposts. But as I was walking out, one of the Philadelphia fans, kind of tugged my jersey. She's like, "I love these jerseys. You guys look so great." And then another one was like, "Hey, good luck the rest of the year. Your team looks amazing." So it was so hard for me to grasp nice Philadelphia fans. Like, this is just such a mind fuck for me.
As a collective, they're dog shit.
I know.
Some of their parts were actually halfway decent human beings.
I had the gut reaction, like just the trigger warning, like as soon as one of them opened their mouths, as I was going to say, "Oh, go punch a horse," or "Go throw a battery at Santa Claus." Like I had it ready on the tip of my tongue, and I couldn't do it. When they were nice to me, I just kind of looked at them like, "Yeah," because I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
And I was looking on social media after the game, and to be honest with you, when you told me what you experienced, I was shocked because, Tony, I saw quite the different reaction from other VGK fans. So, and the thing is, nothing really surprises me with Philly fan because, well, let's face it, their track record has left much to be desired. He talked about the batteries. One guy last week ate a pile of fresh horse shit. So, I mean, that's Exhibit A in itself.
Remember, too, that every Philadelphia fan that was in this building was too poor to fly out to Vegas for the Super Bowl. So we didn't get, like, the creme de la creme of the Philadelphia fans here either.
Well, from what I heard, even in Minnesota, the creme de la creme was still a creme de la crap. So I don't know where this creme you keep speaking of is, because I'm pretty sure one of the fans may have eaten some horse creme if he would have had the opportunity to.
Some flaming horse creme.
So, but yeah, I mean, two straight goalies who aren't, anything to write home about, Halak and Neuwirth, kind of shut Vegas down. I mean, the road trip was great. They went 4-2. They had an awesome time. A couple of slip-ups. I mean, they blew the lead with Pittsburgh. And Minnesota, they just never really been able to figure them out just quite yet. I know it's only been a couple games, but I mean, is there any cause for concern like right now with Vegas? I know they're playing well, but it seems that, and I know we're a new franchise in the fan base and et cetera. It's a lot of new novice fans, but it seems like when Vegas loses, the sky is falling with some of these fans.
No, I think they're just new to the sport and not used to that with outstanding performance the Knights have done so far. I wasn't able to watch today's game, but I kind of heard play-by-play when I was working. So
yeah, and we got a fan. I live with a fan who's fairly new to hockey, and she I kind of told her to kind of table her expectations for this year. Of course, they've shattered everything I just told her to, so that went out the window immediately. How do you tell somebody who's like, this team's going to be, average to mediocre at best this year, and all of a sudden they've shit all over those expectations.
I saw legitimate TSN reporters saying that this team would be lucky to win 12 games this year.
Yeah, so
I remember, yeah.
But now that those expectations have been shattered, I feel like this fan base doesn't quite know how to handle the other side of the map, and it's the peaks and valleys of a hockey season. You're going to lose games at home. Starting out, 18-2-1 at home,
something ridiculous
is
like
absurd.
That, yeah.
For especially for a franchise who is in its inaugural year. So I just kind of a message to the Vegas fans: just relax. I hate to bring up Aaron Rodgers reference, but just relax.
Just breathe.
I don't think Gallant's coasting to the playoffs at this point because I still think he wants to get that number 1 seed. Don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's going to go full out for that.
Yeah, the home ice advantage is so important, getting that last change, and then the Vegas fans have just been unbelievable all season. So having that atmosphere in the playoffs in your back pocket, that's definitely going to matter.
So, you look at that, like I said, I don't think there's going to be an intentional coasting to this season. But, I mean, look at the injuries. They're piling up. I mean, Merrill, Sabisa, Nosek, Carrier doesn't play as much. We're using Carpenter more than I thought we would this year.
Yeah, Subban's hurt now.
Subban's hurt. What is up with that? What's the story with this one? Because during the season ticket holder fan fest, he wasn't there, obviously, as you know. And the word on the street is, from what I saw on the sin bin and stuff, is that he deleted all of his social media. And we know this is trade deadline time. So when things start to come out of left field, the fans and the analysts and everyone starts to speculate, this guy's on the move. Neal wasn't at the season ticket holder event, and everybody's like, oh, where's James Neal? Well, he was on the ice last night, or tonight. So, a little bit of settling to that argument. But, I mean, what do we make of, this strange, we know it's an upper body injury, but from what I've heard, everything from a shoulder injury to a broken hand, a broken wrist. It's starting to get a little strange. What do we make of that?
Yeah, I actually haven't heard any specifics. I only have heard upper body injuries. So
yeah, that's all I heard as well.
Yeah, so anything else. But, I wonder how much of it is Gallant playing it close to the chest just so he doesn't have, kind of a Bill Belichick style, not wanting to give out too much information. And I'm wondering, it's possible that everybody's been told to keep quiet about it if Subban is part of some of the trades that George McPhee's trying to put together.
Can you see a situation where we kind of? I mean, obviously, you've followed hockey for the better part of probably most of your life.
Oh yeah.
The backup goalie in postseason play is largely irrelevant, barring a major injury.
Right.
Like we saw last year with Fleury, when Murray got hurt, he went in. But other than that, I mean, when you're the backup goalie, you're not seeing action. So, is there something to that where we're going to kind of let Max get reps and trade Subban? Can Subban be traded when he's hurt, though, on IR?
I don't think he can when he's on IR, but if they clear him off of IR.
So, I mean, is this a situation where, obviously, my first thought would have been Dance coming up, but he's still not even playing in Chicago, so Max makes the most sense.
Right, and Max got more reps in when he was in Vegas, because don't forget, I mean, Oscar Dansk looked great when he was here, but he only got like 3.5 games under his belt.
Was it even that much?
Yeah, it was. He went 3-0-0, and I feel like he came in. He
got hurt in the Islanders game.
Yeah,
that's when Legacy appeared.
Yeah, but when Subban got hurt and Dansk came in, I think he had a good chunk of the game to go. But but Legacy was here. He went 6-6-1. Didn't put up world-beating numbers, but looked decent enough for a backup goalie, especially one that
fourth goalie.
Yeah, was projected to be weighed on. Technically, you could even say fifth if you include Calvin Pickard.
Yeah,
because don't forget when the team first put together its roster, he was fifth on the list, not fourth. When Pickard got traded, he got bumped up to fourth by default.
Well, when Pickard was brought on the roster, when Subban wasn't a part of the roster yet, so
no, but Subban was Subban after the Pickard trade?
No, Pickard trade was a product of the Subban pickup because we had to leave one of them in the NHL, and you had to leave Subban in the NHL for I think 30 days. So, and they couldn't option Pickard down to the AHL without having to put him on waivers, which everybody was going to take a shot at him. So they traded him. Okay. He was a product of Subban. Anyways, I get what you're saying. He really wasn't anybody's vision for this season, or even probably going forward in the near future, until they had to be.
But I mean, you bring up a good point about backup goalies in the playoffs. They're largely irrelevant,
right?
Aside from the fact that they hold open the door when line changes occur.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you look at this spot. The trade deadline's about 2 weeks away. I think it's the 27th or 28th.
Yes, it's the end of the month.
Yeah. So. With that looming, if Subban's really even has an injury, if he doesn't, then obviously they would, take him off of IR retroactive to whenever he goes on, trade him, and no problems. The way I look at this, and again, this is the time of the year when we're all starting to speculate. People are writing articles every time there's an inkling, or even somebody makes up a rumor. It's going to get pub. So here, from a local standpoint. We have a guy who's deleted all of his VGK social media. We have a guy who's on the injured reserve from an injury that not even the local media who follows them at practice can even explain. So, with the way Legacy kind of played pretty well and the fact that we've all but pretty much secured a playoff spot, I could see Gallant and company kind of bringing up Legacy with an attempt to see what they can get for Subban. I mean, who would really be in the market for a backup goalie right now? I mean, and the easy answer is everybody, because but I'm saying, like, realistically, you're talking about guys who are trying to come down the playoffs, who are at that, that threshold level of will they be in, will they be out? You talk about Colorado, teams like that, Dallas maybe. None of them are really in the market for a goaltender at this point. I mean, I try to look at the threshold of teams. LA, Anaheim, Colorado are just outside of the wild card. None of them really need a goalie. You look in the East, Columbus is okay. The Islanders seem fine. Rangers are okay. I don't understand where you think you're going to get anything for Subban as far as somebody who's willing to give up more than they should for a guy who's had maybe 15 good games.
Right, unless he's part of a package deal with somebody else. When James Neal skipped the season ticket holder event, everybody thought it was Subban and Neal for XYZ. The most logical trade target would be John Tavares for that kind of a package?
No, I don't think we'd get John Tavares for that. I think that's a little bit heavy.
Well, I mean, whatever the case may be, obviously the internet rumors are flying, so...
I'd love to see John Tavares here. I mean, if they traded for him, that would mean they would have to get some kind of verbal commitment that he would re-sign here, which That would be fantastic. I mean, to get a guy like John Tavares in our second year, or the end of our first year to play for the playoff push. Wow, that would be crazy.
That'd be pretty healthy.
It's hard to say that you want to break up the chemistry, but he's probably one of the 5 players I would say to let go of Neil and break up this team in the slightest. And the other 4 aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh, of course not. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's fun to speculate about. But it's just we have to look at. Yeah, you're right. Teams that would need a backup goalie in Subban, teams that would be willing to take on James Neal as an expiring contract so they can get money off their books for next year for whatever their plans may be. So, I don't know. It's curious to see how this is all going to shake out. But yeah, the Subban thing, the fact that it's been so mysterious, the fact that he deleted all his social media, it's just leaving everybody's head scratching, which gives us more questions than answers, hence us talking about it on the podcast.
As I'm looking at the standings, realistically, and it's one that I think could be a possibility. I don't think they're going to make this move because I don't know what they're going to be asking for as far as Vegas will be. But to be honest with you, a team that actually needs a backup goaltender is Tampa. Budai and Domingue have been nothing short of awful in their time when Vasilevsky's not in the net. And, teams like Boston, Toronto, Washington are starting to catch up to Tampa. And they're giving away those games when Vasi's not in the net. And, Vasi's basically being called on to go undefeated when he is in the net. And let's look at any goalie. That's impossible.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Maybe a guy like Subban shores up something for them. Again, these are wildly speculated, moves and ideals, but
I was even thinking Boston or something like that.
Well, Boston's got their 2 guys. Tuukka's good enough to get him there.
Yeah.
Khudobin on most nights is pretty good, even though we know he lost to Buffalo. But on most nights, Khudobin's a quality backup goaltender. I just think Tampa Bay has nothing behind Vasilevsky. I think that would be an interesting move. Would they take Neil on? Maybe. I don't know where they would put him and what they would give up for him. What would Vegas take really in that spot? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I would really, really want if I'm Vegas from Tampa would be like a Braden Point or a Tyler Johnson, and they're not going anywhere.
Right, yeah, they're never giving that up. Their draft picks probably aren't going to be worth much because they're going to be so low down in the first round.
Right.
It's not worth it. What about a team like Pittsburgh? I remember at the beginning of the year I had heard that, especially when they were dog shit to start the year and they had no backup goalie, there were rumors going around that at the trade deadline they would be willing to give up somebody like a Yevgeny Malkin to get a good backup goalie and maybe prospects or draft picks afterwards.
I think more toward the beginning of the year it might have been a possibility. Now that Malkin's put up a 30-plus goal season, I think he's more involved in the plans. Tristan Jarry's actually become a halfway decent backup goalie to Matt Murray, and Matt Murray has been pretty good. Pittsburgh's playing well, and a stat I saw today that I tweeted out is if you look at their schedule, Pittsburgh does not have a scheduled home game in the regular season outside of the Eastern Conference for the rest of the year.
Wow.
And I confirmed it. They do not. They have one game against Detroit, which I found out I didn't realize was in the Eastern time zone until today.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, they played Detroit. What are you talking about? And I didn't realize that. So, yes, it is confirmed fact they do not have a single game at this point after this Blues game today outside of the Eastern time zone for the rest of the year.
Wow.
And actually, I believe until the Stanley Cup Finals, because I don't believe any Eastern Conference teams are in any other time zone, correct? I'll have to look.
Boy, yeah, we'd have to.
I have to look at that real quick.
We'd have to double check that, but I mean, Detroit is so far west, and they're still in the.
Ottawa's in the East, right?
Yeah,
Ottawa's in the East. Yeah.
All right, so we got. Columbus is in the East. Every team in the East is in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they don't have a single game outside the Eastern time zone until the Stanley Cup Finals.
Wow. Interesting.
So, hey, you want to talk about home cooking?
Yeah.
Anything could get more pro Crosby. It's I don't know. That's probably a glitch in the scheduling. I had a guy on Twitter tell me that a lot of times toward the end of the year, the majority of Eastern Conference teams their games gone down the stretch are in the Eastern time zone. But to have every single one, to not have a single road trip on the West or even in the middle, in the Midwest.
With 2 months to go.
Yeah, with 2 months to go, and you're telling me, I don't know. To me, it seems a bit ridiculous.
There's something shady going on there, but at the same time, we've seen some really weird scheduling matters this year. Like the Knights, for just off the top of my head, they finished their season series against Boston first week in November.
Yeah.
So
something like that.
Yeah. So I mean,
and then they finished theirs with Detroit the second week of
I mean,
March or
here's
something.
the
Yeah.
issue I have. Okay, so let's look at Washington, who's directly ahead of Pittsburgh.
all right.
Next few games: Winnipeg, Minnesota, Chicago. Obviously, all not in the East, Eastern time zone. And then in March they got Anaheim, Los Angeles, San Jose, the dreaded California road trip that everybody hates. And then you have St. Louis to finish off the season. So they've got at least 6 more games than the Penguins in other time zones. Granted, time zones going east to west is a lot harder than going west to east, but to me, it just something doesn't seem right there. You got the team directly ahead of you, has to still go 6 more times to the west, and you're basically, I mean, what's the farthest trip? Columbus? Maybe Florida? Florida might be the farthest trip for Pittsburgh at this point the rest of the season.
Yeah, I would say Florida.
So
I don't have their schedule in front of me, but
yeah, I'm just directly
they
in
have,
the conference.
yeah.
I don't know if they play Florida. I'm just saying teams in the Eastern Conference from Pittsburgh, it's got to be Montreal or Florida.
Right.
So I mean, that's not too shabby of a.
Well, Toronto might be pretty close to a Florida trip.
No, not from Pittsburgh. You talking about in miles?
Yeah.
No, that's not. That can't be that far.
Where's the crack research staff on this one?
Yeah, what's up? Phone must be dead again. Let's see. Pittsburgh directions to Toronto. I will get this because this is riveting radio.
Yes.
It is exactly 300 miles. So,
okay.
Nice try.
Yeah, it's about 1,000 to Florida.
Oh yeah, easily.
yeah.
So, anyways, well, let's stay on the Penguins, and Crosby gets 400 and 401 today. It seems like a guy who should have a lot more, but obviously we know his injury history. I mean, what's his legacy at this point? Obviously he's got more to do, but as it stands right now, if he never played another game,
I consider him a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, the argument in baseball has always been it's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good, so you have to make sure that you're head and shoulders above the other good players of your era, and Crosby consistently has been. Even when he's been hurt in the seasons where he's played even a little bit, he's always been, at or near the top in just about every offensive category I can think of, or at least meaningful offensive categories, I guess I should say.
yeah, I mean,
it would be hard to keep him out at this point, but you're right, he's still got a long way to go, and if he gets 10 years of mediocrity under him, then maybe you make the argument to keep him out.
well, I mean, you're saying he's the greatest player of this century? I mean, I know he didn't play the first 5 years, but I mean, is he the greatest player of this century at this point?
I would say he would be in the talk about it, but I'm not sure if he.
I mean, the 1 and
exactly.
2, the conversation. It's always the Brady Manning. It's Ovi and
Crosby.
I don't know why I was drawing a blank on his name. We're like freaking talking about him. It's Ovi and Crosby. So
It's on his back.
I mean, who else would even be in that conversation at this point? Pretty much.
I mean, if you're talking about pure scoring, it would be hard to put anybody else up there. But if you're talking about, players who have brought value to their team, then you can make arguments for somebody like a Joe Thornton, somebody like a Patrice Bergeron, who's won, 4 Selkies at this point? 3 or 4?
I think 3, yeah, somewhere around there.
3, whatever it is. He's either tied for or has the record for the number of Selkies. And he's always nominated every single year.
Brett Burns would be another.
Brett Burns, I don't know that he's played long
doesn't
enough
have
to be.
longevity, nor does he have the ability to dominate a game like these guys do.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at
But,
looking at his stats of seasons he played full, like of seasons he played, not 82, but at least 70 games. I mean, he's got his worst season of 70 games or more is 33 goals. I mean, so he's got 100 points 6 times. I mean, it's not easy to do other than Ovechkin. Ovechkin just hit 500, if I'm not mistaken, right? Didn't he just hit 500 goals or 600 goals?
I don't know.
You're going to make me look this up?
Yeah, I'm going to make you look it up because after the fact...
After the debacle of last week's crack research.
Well, no, I'm thinking...
He has 591.
The fact that Washington just cannot get out of the second round of the playoffs, you have to think that that's got to hurt Ovechkin's legacy, especially the fact that there was, 3 or 4 years ago that Ovechkin was going to lead the league in scoring and then have a minus 80 rating. He's just, he's a matador defensively, just does not give a shit.
You're in the ballpark. He had 51 goals and a negative 35 plus minus.
He was on pace at one point for a negative 80 because
I believe it.
People are talking about him setting the record. So if it was only minus 35, then he stepped his game up at some point. But
it's crazy to think. Actually, I would have thought Crosby has 6 100-point seasons and Ovechkin only has 4.
Because Ovechkin doesn't pass.
He doesn't pass the puck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
50 goals, 20 assists, 53, 28, 51, 27. He does have 2 seasons of more assists than goals. His first season, he had 52 goals and 54 assists.
Wow.
And then one season, he had 50 goals and 59 assists. But I'm saying, look at this way to open his career. 52, 46, 65, 56, and 50. This is the classic Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. I hate to keep going to football, but it's like Ovechkin. All the numbers are here, but all the rings are over there.
Yep. Christ, does that mean I have to like Crosby since I'm a Brady fan?
No, I'm not comparing them apples. It's apples to oranges.
All right.
Because the ball's in Brady's and Manning's hand every play. The puck's not in Crosby and Ovechkin's stick every single time down the ice. So, granted, there's only 5 guys on the ice, and one guy out of 5 can make a more significant impact, and we've seen it a lot of times. The steady success of Washington, kind of that's where they are. The second round of the playoffs, that's pretty much it. That's good enough. Not good enough, but that's where they go. Every year they get a President's Cup and a second-round exit.
Yeah, my favorite response to that after last season's exit was Alex Ovechkin is the only Russian in Washington, D.C. that has no influence.
Anyways, my point being is that you've seen the track record of they've been really great, they've been really bad, and then they've been really great again. They won, 1 cup? They went to, 3 in a row? You would know, Detroit guy.
Yeah, they went to 3 in a row.
They went to 3 in a row against Detroit. Did they play 3 in a row?
No, 2 in a row against Detroit, and then the third one was, I think, against Chicago.
Pittsburgh loses Chicago in the finals? You could be right. I think you're right. I'm just saying I didn't realize.
It was 09 or 08-09 that they played Detroit back-to-back.
Yeah, okay. And then they lost to Chicago?
I'm pretty sure they lost.
Okay, well, either way, they had that stretch where they were really good. Obviously, they went to 3 straight cups, or at least 2, what we know. And then they took a dip during Crosby's injured years. And then now that Crosby's back and playing actual full seasons, they've won the last 2 cups. So I think it's I don't think this is really much of an argument. If you started to dissect and break down, it's got to be Crosby, correct?
Between the 2 of them, yeah, it has to be Crosby.
Right. So, that's where we sit on his legacy. Those are the 2 guys that are going to be compared at 1A and 1B. Joe Thornton, you're right. He's been in the league, 20 years at this point. Patrice Bergeron is another guy. Patrick Kane, maybe when it's all said and done, could be talked about as, in this conversation. But, I look at the numbers and the impact. Nobody's really doing it like Crosby and Ovechkin are at this point in the NHL, in my opinion.
Oh, is that to me?
That was just to anybody, though.
Shit. God damn it. I keep pulling the goddamn headphone plug out. I sound so weird now without my head. Oh, sorry.
They should see your face.
You can hear yourself talk now.
Fuck. What was I going to say?
I don't know. How much you love Sidney Crosby's jockstrap.
Yeah, that must be it. Because clearly I'm a huge Pittsburgh fan.
Could be worse.
Anyways, since your final takes were just absolutely awful.
Yes.
Let's move on.
I'm terrible. By the way, it was Pittsburgh in 2 consecutive Stanley Cup finals.
2, okay.
Yeah, it was Detroit beating Pittsburgh in 07-08. Pittsburgh beat Detroit 08-09, and then the next one was the Chicago-Philadelphia final.
And that's the Philadelphia final where they came back 3-0 on Boston, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
go fuck yourself.
No, I wasn't trying to poke the bear. No pun intended, actually.
Damn it.
As we fix up technical difficulties here. What are you doing?
I fucked it all up.
There you go. Does that make you happier, Princess?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, crap. I can't hear anything. You turn me down?
No, I think you popped it out again.
How did that?
There you go. Is it good?
No. Oh, my God.
It pops out. I just realized.
Is that working? That's still not working. Why? What is happening? What is happening?
Aliens.
Is it good?
No, it's definitely not working. All right, fuck it.
Yeah, you don't need them anyways.
Yeah, I know.
I like to hear myself, though.
We're sitting 3 feet away from each other, so it's not.
Yeah, I just
Not
hear
the worst thing in
I
the
just
world.
hear it so that I can know that it's going through.
Yeah.
All right, now that you've turned your radios off, we can talk about real shit. Let's go back to the Super Bowl because clearly Spike's not over it yet, judging by his what do you call that? Those
Seething resentment.
suicidal tweets he had on his Twitter lately. And I'll leave this to you. What do you make of the Eagles holding a fake workout as kind of a troll job to New England?
I think it makes for good headlines. I think it's hilarious. I don't think the Patriots would put too much stock in it one way or the other. We all know back in which one was that against the Rams? 36?
I don't know. It was in 2000.
Yeah.
Or it was in 2001 or whatever.
It was after the 2001 season, played in 2002, so whatever year that was. 36.
Yeah, it would be 36.
So, for Super Bowl 36, there had been a story floating around that the Patriots had watched and or taped the Rams at practice. This was reported at one point and then quickly refuted, and no major news outlet has actually said that this happened as per fact since about 2002 or 2003.
Right, but don't tell the court of public opinion that because that's
no.
all they want to say every time the Patriots, they're just a bunch of cheaters. Fuck off.
Yeah, of course.
Every team cheats.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even that. Every you have that Your Team Cheats website. But the fact of the matter is it's been debunked and literally admitted by the people who wrote the articles. It is not true.
Yeah. So, I mean, we know that was nonsense. So the fact that the Eagles did that, I think, it was a PR move more than anything else. I don't think they actually were so concerned about the Patriots taping them that they decided to fuck them over like that.
Do you think they even did it? That's the question.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if they did some kind of walkthrough.
How are you going to know? Because they do walkthroughs. They practice throughout the week. How do we know what's fake and what's not?
Right.
I guess that's the point.
Yeah, no, that doesn't bring up a good
They
question.
could have ran all their walkthroughs and then at the end been like, oh, yeah, this one was fake. No. You know?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, it's possible that they were just saying it just to get a rise out of New England fans.
Yeah, so, anyways. He's got nothing.
How do you have no opinion on this?
That's three straight topics with no opinion. All right, here you go.
It can go either way.
I saw that one coming. All right, Token.
Yeah.
So, Eagles offensive coordinator Frank Reich is now taking McDaniel's old spot that he held for, 8 hours?
About that.
So, what do you make of this brouhaha with, now this is their second guy, but yet they think they got the coach that they always wanted, quote unquote?
The Colts always screw up even on the offseason, so I'm not too surprised. I think he's going to be a decent fit for the Colts, but I don't think he's going to be immediate help. I think it'll be a few years down the road, about 3 years down the road, that they start making an impact again.
Well, does he have 3 years? That's the question.
Probably not. Probably not in Indy, to be honest. So,
I mean, I know I've said this, and you guys kind of looked at me sideways, but next year, with all of the quarterbacks coming back, AFC South might be the best division.
Yes.
I still don't necessarily know that I believe. They may have the best quarterbacks throughout the division, but I don't know that they're going to have 4 superstar teams.
No, I mean, if you're looking at if you're not, they're going to have 4, Patriot teams. But I'm saying as a collective unit, I mean, the parity. Look, we've talked about this 100 times between the Patriots and the Browns is not huge. It's a couple plays here, a couple players here, a couple players there. But, I mean, you're talking about 4 teams who you get Deshaun back. You got Mariota improving. I would like to think Bortles is going to improve on last season's success. And you get Andrew Luck back, who is probably, when healthy, the best of the 4 right now. J.J. Watt's supposed to be coming back for Houston. Their defense is supposed to get better. Titans' defense was tops in the league last year. Jaguars' defense, we obviously already know about them. And Indy would be as far as the worst defense, they would probably be the worst defense. They need a lot of help on a lot of facets that aren't Andrew Luck, but I think I think they got the guy with Reich to say, we talked about this last week, Spike, you and I. They get the guy, the head coach, who kind of gets with the quarterback, the McDaniels, Sean McVay, Doug Peterson of the world. The quarterback guru, so to speak, gets with the quarterback who he wants to do great things with and can actually create a situation where their success masks a lot of the inaccuracies of their team. So I think that they may be able to have immediate impact because, like you said, as good as this division is, no one's really great. So with Andrew Luck back, I know he's not Tom Brady, but he has the ability and talent when he's healthy to mask a lot of... I mean, look at it. His offensive line was terrible, Andrew Luck's. His defense was below average a lot of the years when he was healthy, and he still led them to 10-6s, 11-5s, etc. So yeah. I think when he's healthy, coupled with Frank Reich, this actually could be the guy that they were always looking for.
I mean, I'm still not entirely sold on Andrew Luck, and I don't know if that's because of the injury history or just because I haven't, seen him put up the superstar video game type numbers that everybody expected him to put up when he was coming out of college. I'm looking at, 2016, 31 touchdowns, 13 picks, 2014, 40 touchdowns, but 16 picks. This isn't somebody that's lighting the world on fire. He's got
40 touchdowns, 16 picks is pretty good.
No, 16 picks is terrible. You can't tell me that's
it's not
worthwhile.
Fantastic, but you know what? The best quarterbacks in the world sometimes threw a lot of picks.
Right.
You put it into Windows. Sometimes it doesn't always work. But I'm saying those numbers, 40 touchdowns are video game kind of numbers. I mean, your video game kind of number. What'd you play? Like you play on super easy and make 80 touchdowns a year?
Yeah, easily.
Okay, well then no one puts up video game numbers. So I don't know. I'm sorry.
I just
sorry to break it to you, Spike. We can't all play Madden on rookie level.
Fair enough. But I don't know. I mean, I know Andrew Luck is supposed to be the guy. I know that he has shown flashes of brilliance, but so did RG3. So did Derek Anderson. So did
Derek Anderson.
So has Nick Foles, but he didn't get a starting job until Carson Wentz went down.
But you're telling me of the four quarterbacks, if they were all completely healthy and started today in the AFC South, he's not the best?
In that division?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be.
He just debunked everything he just said.
No, I didn't debunk everything I just said.
No, is he Tom Brady? No. Is he Peyton Manning? No. But he's also been in the league, 5 years? I mean, and he's been hurt for 3 of them. So, I mean, you got to give a guy a chance when he's actually healthy.
But no.
His team's still a dumpster fire.
No, you don't have to give a guy credit for when he stays healthy because he has proven that he can't stay healthy.
You didn't hear what I said. I didn't say giving a guy credit for staying healthy. I'm saying giving a guy credit for his performance when is healthy.
Right, but that's the thing. We don't know that he can stay healthy. We've seen guys like this, like the Sam Bradfords of the world, that even though they have unbelievable talent and potential, they can't stop getting hurt. Well, whether that's their own fault for being frail, whether that's a genetic thing, or whether they don't have the offensive line to keep them upright, which we know they don't have in Indianapolis.
Right now, correct.
So,
and if Chris Ballard wants to run his mouth, he might want to start actually drafting some quality players. My point being is that if we're giving Sam Bradford the benefit of the doubt, what are we now? St. Louis, Philadelphia, Minnesota 3 times. We've given him at least 5 benefits of doubt.
Right.
So I think Andrew Luck deserves 1.
Nah, I fuck Indy. I mean that's what it boils down to.
Hashtag fuck Indy.
I mean that's really what it boils down to. I just
what I've seen on the field, Andrew Luck is a top 5 quarterback.
Oh God, no, I don't agree with that. Top 10 maybe.
But who's better than Andrew Luck when he's fully healthy on the field with the weapons that he has had? Again, I liken him to Tom Brady because, I mean, his best weapon has been T.Y. Hilton, which now he's a great receiver because of Andrew Luck. But before him, he was a fucking reject out of Florida International.
Right, but right now I take Brady's, Rodgers, Breeze, Garoppolo, probably Bortles, Wentz. What the fuck?
Bortles over Andrew. Come on, I'm a Bortles guy, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
What's his name for the LA Rams? I take all those guys before I take Luck.
Wow, no, no.
Garoppolo for sure.
Would you take Stafford or Luck?
Stafford or Luck?
Would you take Cam Newton or Andrew Luck right now?
Right now,
healthy, both healthy.
Both healthy.
I already know who.
As on face value as a player, not the guys around him, not the receivers, not the running backs, just as face value to start a franchise.
Between Newton and Luck, I take Luck. Between Luck and Stafford, I think I take Stafford.
Oh,
wow.
Andrew Luck, when healthy, is a top 5 quarterback. I don't know how you don't believe me this. Brady, Breeze, Rodgers.
Garoppolo's
not a top 5 quarterback.
Of course he is.
It's been 7 starts, dude.
Of course he is.
Get your dick out of his ass.
Absolutely not. He's way too handsome.
He's gone, man. Let it go. He's gone.
He's way too handsome. I'll never get over it.
He's in San Francisco. He's the highest paid player after 7 games. He's the highest paid player. Let's talk about it. He's the highest paid player after 7 starts.
Yeah. I put Russell Wilson before Andrew Luck.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
But Jared Goff, Blake Bortles, now you're grasping, dude. Hashtag fuck India, I get, but you're grasping at straws. Those guys are better than Andrew Luck on a Sunday when healthy.
All right, dude. Right now,
put Andrew Luck on the Jaguars. That team would have beaten New England.
Absolutely not.
I disagree. A healthy Andrew Luck on the Jaguars, that team would have beaten New England.
No. All right. Right now, knowing what we know about injury histories and knowing what we know about potential, do you take Luck or Deshaun Watson?
With their careers as they are right now?
Yeah.
I take Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
Me
there
too.
you go.
Yeah.
Because he's younger. That's it.
Because he's younger, I think he's got a lot of given talent that will make him an excellent player.
Well, yeah, but Andrew Luck's the same player, in my opinion.
He is.
He has the exact mobility. He's not as fast as Deshaun Watson, but he has the ability to move and get out of the pocket.
No, and the flip side of that
I think he's a better leader, too. Not that Deshaun Watson's a bad guy.
But I think I should have included coaching staff, too, because don't forget Billy O'Brien, who was Tom Brady's quarterback's coach for however long.
So how do you make comparisons? On face value or the sum of all the parts around him? Because there's two different comparisons.
Right. No, but I guess we have to take it as the sum of all the parts around them. Because, none of these guys play in a vacuum, so we have to be able to look at every piece around them.
That's like saying Aaron Rodgers is better than Blake Bortles, but if you put Aaron Rodgers on the Jaguars, they don't beat New England. They would beat New England. Come on. They would beat New England.
No, they wouldn't. I don't understand why you think that Aaron Rodgers could beat a Bill Belichick defense, because he's proven that he fucking can't.
Nick Foles beat a Bill Belichick defense.
Yeah, Nick Foles did, but
but not Aaron Rodgers.
Not Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Makes total sense.
Hashtag debunk Spike Hour. Yeah. Look, man, I'm as unbiased as anybody I could be. I love the Pats, but you put Andrew Luck or Aaron Rodgers on that Jacksonville team, and Jacksonville's in the Super Bowl. So let's just is what it is. All right. Well, Jimmy G, you talked about it, and what do you make of this contract? Because I've always been of the belief that the more you pay a quarterback, the less you can pay the guys around him, and Jimmy G needs a lot of guys around him right now. And now they've just chunked up $28 million towards a guy who's got 7 starts under his belt.
You're right. San Francisco needs a lot of help. But I think that they realize that this is a supply and demand business. The supply of good quarterbacks is way too low. So they had to overpay to get their guy, especially somebody that they think will not only help their franchise, like on the field, but it will also help their franchise attract those other prospects and other players that they need
to fill their stadium
in order to fill, not only just put butts in the seats, but to bring in the free agents. Because it used to be, hey, come play in San Francisco. We have a shit quarterback, no offensive line, no talent around you, and you have to pay about a 13% state income tax. But now, if you turn to a superstar wide receiver who may be going to free agency, be like, hey, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be throwing you the ball. That sounds a lot more appealing.
Sure. I didn't think about that. Do you think a lot of people avoid the California teams because of that state income tax?
I think they would have to. It has to at least be a consideration. I
always thought about that. That points come across a lot of places. You would think by the letter of that rule, the Florida teams, the Texas teams would be a lot better than the California teams and the New York teams.
You would think, but
they play under the same cap. So if I can only sign you to $28 million in California or $28 million in Florida, why wouldn't I go to Miami or Tampa?
Right.
I get LA, it's nice, it's beautiful, but I can go there on vacation. If I got to give you 13% of my fucking income.
Right, well,
I'd go sit with the babies at South Beach.
There's a reason that the New York teams actually play in New Jersey, so that their players can play in New Jersey and pay that income tax rather than the New York State one.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think it's still like 9.
It's still high, but it's not nearly as high as playing in New York City.
What's it in Massachusetts now?
It was 5 3/4 when I moved out.
No.
Yeah.
It's got to be higher than that.
Yeah, no, they actually, the voters passed a law trying to reduce it to 5. The governor shat all over it for a number of years, and I don't know if it actually came back up. Let's see what it is now.
5.2.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it has gone down a little bit.
Yeah, actually it has. You're right. I stand corrected. My apologies. I always remember it being. Is the sales tax that's really high? What's up? There's a reason it's so expensive. I know it's real estate market is really high. Obviously,
Sales tax is high. Property taxes are through the roof.
property taxes must be what it is.
Yeah, California's is 13.3%.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, and they have a gas tax too.
Yep. And you have to buy plastic bags when you go to the supermarket.
Yeah, they don't bag your even in like
Yeah.
in Albertsons shit. They don't bag your stuff.
You can bring
I think you got to buy them for like
your own bag.
15 cents a bag. If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
By the way, the one spot where I am the snobbiest, most like asshole-ish, quote unquote, rich person on the planet.
Hold on. He said one spot.
Yeah.
Right. Have you met
No,
this guy?
I'm saying the one spot.
the one
right now.
the one A of it all.
The one
For
that,
right now.
Yeah.
For right now.
I will not bag my own groceries.
For those of you who don't know, Spike is a get off my lawn kind of guy.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's not even near that age.
I mean, I've got gray in my beard, but that's not. I still haven't hit 40 yet. But
Your ball went in my backyard? Too bad it's mine.
I've done that before, actually. Now that I think about it. Fuck. I really wanted to be like, I'm not that mean, but then I thought, like, fuck yeah, I actually did that once.
So Spike doesn't need a dog because he is the beast. Oh, somehow we got Sandlot into this.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
What are we talking
we're
about?
talking about Jimmy Garoppolo.
Was this supposed to be about sports, or is it supposed to be shit on me hour?
It's a dual podcast. Yeah, we go back and forth. It could go either way. But Garoppolo, you're right. I mean, he's going to attract guys, especially weapons. I mean, because other than Carlos Hyde, I really don't know what's there. Help me out here.
And we need the crack research staff on this one, because I couldn't even fucking tell you a player outside of Hyde.
All right. So, anyways, but I think the realistic notion of this is, his contract for San Francisco is coming up at the perfect time, because you're right. We're in this Kirk Cousins market where he's going to probably be close to 30, which baffles me. But like you said, it's the price you pay for the quarterback market. I think San Francisco's getting it perfect right now. They didn't have to tag him. They're giving him what did we say? $28 million a year,
27.5.
It averages 27.5, 74 guaranteed. But I think, and I got to look this up, I think most of that money's front-loaded. So that way, in a couple of years, once Garoppolo's settled into their system, he knows the offense, he knows everything else, then they can start saying, hey, you free agents or you people that we need to sign, come in. And now all of a sudden, not only is Garoppolo's actual cap hit for that year a lot lower, but the salary cap will be higher because it's expected to keep going up till 2020 when this collective bargaining agreement ends.
Yeah, a couple million every year, I think, is what it was. So that you got 2 more years of going up. And the fact of the matter is, like we're saying, Kirk Cousins is going to be entering $30 million range. Drew Brees, I would imagine, is going to get a couple years at 28 to $30 million a year. If you lock down Jimmy for 5 at 27.5, you're actually getting a bargain. In year 2 or 3, like you're saying, you're actually getting a bargain for this guy.
Exactly.
Even though right now he's currently the highest paid player, and that person, whoever the highest paid quarterback or player, has jumped up 6 or 7 times in the last 5. It was Rodgers for a long time, and then I think after Flacco, it jumped players 6 or 7 times.
Almost once a year, if not.
Because wasn't it Flacco? Wasn't it Breeze? Wasn't it? It was Rodgers again.
Didn't Stafford have it for a little bit?
Stafford was currently before Garoppolo.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's jumped a few times. I can't remember who else was on that short list, but I mean, I feel like in year 2 or 3, once he's only making 27.5, and you're starting to get, Matt Ryan's going to come up. You got Matt Stafford already making what he's making. Drew Brees now. Goff's getting ready to get paid, I think, 2 more years.
Yeah, I think he's got 2 more years.
I think
left
Russell
before
Wilson's got a
free
couple more
agency.
years on his deal.
Yeah.
Brady's about to hit $22 million when we talked about last time.
Yeah, but if Goff's coming up, that means Wentz is coming up too.
Yeah, Wentz is coming up. So realistically, what's that number going to look like in 3 years that you have to pay a quarterback of that caliber that Jimmy G is going to be looking like fucking pittance at $27.5 million.
Yeah,
so
steal.
realistically, I think his contract was perfect for the 49ers.
Exactly. And even if it does look like they overpaid, and let's face it, I mean, they're not going to be able to rebuild this team in 1 year. So, if they go 6-10 this coming season and they're paying him $27 million, nobody in that front office is going to complain because they know that this deal is for the long term, not the short term.
Right.
But as a fan, do you think they're going to complain about it?
Probably.
Well, on the field success, they've already jumped up to 20-1 at the books. So obviously, that success coupled with Vegas already jumping them up is going to create immediate overreaction by 49ers fans. Because let's face it, they've been. Did you just jump up on that?
Yeah.
Let's face it, they've been dog shit, no pun intended, since what? 2009? When was Kaepernick's last average? When was that? When did they go to the Super Bowl? 12? 11? Whatever that was. They've been dog shit for 5 years.
Yeah.
Including Kaepernick. And you, too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you're right. In the first 2 years, it'll be a $42.6 million hit on San Francisco's salary.
Right.
A $6.2 million in base, $7 million signing bonus, and a $28 million roster bonus.
Right.
Is that legal? Can they do that?
Of course. They can structure it however they want.
But I thought the base is what goes against the cap, correct? Or is it just his entire hit?
I think it's just the entire hit. I don't know. I'd have to look at how the CBA is actually worded to figure out
So
what
actually, no,
counts as
I
a hit,
lied.
but-
It's not the first 2 years. Next year, he will make $42 million.
Yeah.
Next year.
But that's what I'm saying. The fact that it is front-loaded like that means that the front office knows, fuck this next coming year because we know that we're not going to be able to do everything we need.
We'll be happy with 6-10, maybe 8-8 if we get.
Right. Oh, God.
I
If
think
they go 8-8, they're ecstatic.
Yeah, I think they can go 8-8. That's the thing.
Yeah.
2019, he'll make 18.6, but then here's where you're talking about. In 2020, 21, and 22, his cap hit is 25.5 each of those 3 seasons.
Right.
And that's where it gets good.
And keep in mind, the salary cap goes up, 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 up every single year. So his percentage of that salary cap is going to be lessened every year. So that means that they have that much more money to spend on those free agents and those weapons that they can put around him and that offensive line to keep him upright.
If he wins 2 Super Bowls with San Francisco,
All right.
is that considered the biggest bonehead move in New England sports history?
Oof.
Other than Babe Ruth, but I mean, come on, let's be honest.
I mean,
none of us were around for that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we have to think about recent,
I'm trying to think
Thanks.
about things. I mean,
like any kind of
bonehead trades that didn't go well for Boston sports.
yeah.
I don't know of anything that would be, and especially from a guy who we would never expect to make a bonehead move because it's the "in Bill we trust" motto.
Right. I mean, you could argue the Bruins trading away Joe Thornton was a terrible move.
Didn't he walk in free agency?
No, that was a trade because they got. Fuck. Yeah, now we got to look it up. No, I'm not sure. I feel like Jason Allison was part of that deal at some point, and he was dog shit for the year and a half that he actually stayed healthy enough.
But anyways, I mean,
Marco Sturm.
Yeah.
That was it.
but
And Wayne Primo.
but Joe Thornton's got as many cups as you and I do at this point.
That's
and
fair.
and Brad Stewart, too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love that dude. Klaxpamon. Anyways, I think if he wins at this point, you said Joe Thornton, and he didn't even win 1. I think if he wins 1, it might be a crazy trade at this point. Not that the thing is right now the Patriots are still contenders for Super Bowls every year. But I'm saying Jimmy's got what? Jimmy's 26, 25, 26.
We need the correct research staff on it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of needs today.
I know. Why didn't we fucking do any kind of show prep and actually look this stuff up?
I got my show prep sitting right here. It's all in front of me. See?
26.
See, I got all my show prep.
26
right
will turn 27 halfway through the season.
It's all right.
Wow,
here.
look at all that research that you did.
All that writing that you have.
Yeah, that's a.
It's filled.
That's filled.
That book's filled.
Look, it's a comic cartoon. He jumps through the fire. Anyways, he's 26. Yes.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely make the argument that it's definitely up there as one of the biggest bonehead trades. The issue is going to be, is Jimmy Garoppolo winning Super Bowls while the Patriots are still competitive? Like, even in the post-Brady years, if they're able to find somebody that they can put in a quarterback that works their system and that keeps them at like a 12
He
and
continues
4
to haunt them.
type level. But yeah, if Garoppolo comes in and then the Patriots, they draft their heir apparent, he comes in as a starter and he goes 2-14 his first year, then you can make the argument that that's the worst move. That could go down if Garoppolo is as successful as we think. He was traded for a second-round pick, which
That's it.
still boggles the mind.
The fact of the matter is I know he hasn't won a Super Bowl,
right?
but he is getting traded, and I would think we'd all sit here on the panel and agree that Garoppolo's better than Nick Foles.
Yes,
I agree.
Nick Foles might get more for his services than Garoppolo.
Yep.
It's just crazy to think.
But I mean, the flip side of it is, I still talk to my dad who listens to Boston sports radio for as long as he can tolerate it. And everybody's calling in to complain, like, why didn't we get more for Garoppolo? And the fact of the matter is, I don't think other teams were offering more than a second-round pick because...
Not at the time, no, but when there was the notion that Cleveland offered 2 firsts during the draft...
That was only rumors, though. I've never actually heard anybody from Cleveland say...
They're all rumors until you pull the trigger.
Right, well, I've never heard anybody from Cleveland confirm that was even true. That's the point.
Cleveland also missed out on a free agent or a trade because they couldn't file the paperwork in time. So whatever comes out of Cleveland has to be taken with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
So you gotta take.
It was sitting on the desk.
Yeah. Yeah, we got nothing.
Never
forgot to send the fax, motherfucker. Anyways, so all right. Well, you got the pass is over. It's happened. Garoppolo's a 49er. With this roster made up, and he's another guy who can mask a few flaws or inaccuracies in the team, but when do you really feel like he can actually take that team to where, obviously, Lynch and the company expect him to? Is it 3 years? Is it 2 years? Is it next year?
I'm guessing 3 to 4 years down the road.
You think that's a lot, though?
I'm leaning more towards 3, but I can see it potentially
say it takes 4 years, right? I mean, I don't think if Garoppolo can't get them past 8-8 in 4 years, I don't think he's going to be there. But say it goes 4 years, and then year 5 they're contending. His contract's up again. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what do you do? Is he? I don't want to think that this guy's always going to be the full of potential. He gets paid. He kind of slogs through mediocrity for 3 years, has 2 great years, and then gets paid again. Not that I'm rooting for San Francisco, but I mean. It just seems like I feel like he's got a time on him that's a lot faster than 3 years, at least from the court of public opinion.
Yeah, but how much does the front office actually give a shit about the court of public opinion?
Well, the court of public opinion is not sitting in the seats right now.
Oh,
yeah.
That's true. But
because they're bussing everybody down from San Francisco because nobody in San Jose or Santa Clara gives a fuck about football.
Yeah, except maybe about USC or something. Or no, that's even further south.
What? USC? Maybe Stanford, yes.
Yeah.
You want to redeem yourself?
I'll reach out myself.
So, anyways, it's going to be, I don't think that there's going to be enough time, if you're talking about 4 years, where they're not calling for heads. I don't think John Lynch has 4 years, now that he's made this move.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. He gave up nothing to get him, if you're a San Francisco 49er fan.
Right, but they're not going to be drafting quarterbacks with their first picks in the next 3 years.
Right.
So they're not drafting, they're not drafting a prospect.
No, but, I mean, if they feel that they have it and they're, bad for a couple of years, then it's got to be, even if Lynch goes, Garoppolo might stay. Just, aside from contracts, be damned, they might bring in somebody that has more of an offensive mindset from the GM position that can, help Garoppolo out with actual weapons as opposed to just whatever a former linebacker thinks a quarterback needs.
Kind of like a Bill Belichick.
Yes.
I guess it's a good thing he's a safety then.
Was he a safety?
John Lynch played safety.
What the fuck am I thinking of?
I don't know. He was built like a linebacker, though. That guy put some hurt on people, dude. You remember John Lynch back in the day, like the Tampa days?
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow. Those were the days where wide receivers went over the middle, and they weren't sure if they were going to wake up the next play.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
But that's where you have the smell of them to wake up from a concussion.
What?
No, like the little bandage.
I know where he's going. Let him go with this. I know where he's going. What are you talking about?
The little bandage of smell 'em or whatever.
The smelling salts?
Yeah.
Yeah, the trainer doesn't walk over and go, yep, he's good. Who's that? Michael Irvin? No, he did.
How many fingers? Close enough.
How many fingers? 3 balls. Anyways, so before we go down a bad rabbit hole, let's wrap it up here. This has been the latest edition. I guess you would call it edition. This has been the latest debacle of the Vegas Squares podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Vegas Squares. Catch us on all of our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, etc. Spike, any final thoughts after that?
Oh, why on earth would I fucking dig myself deeper into a hole?
I don't know. You want to wake up Anthony with his butt smelling salts? Anthony?
Smells like beef stew over here.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
What are you two doing on the other side of the glass? I can't take that shit anymore. Anyways, we appreciate you tuning in. Catch us on the next one, and we are out.